Hello everyone, welcome to E4 Cloud Solution Tutorials. I am Hebel. In this video, we'll set up an AWS Client VPN integrated with Okta as the identity provider. This VPN will ensure seamless and secure access to AWS resources without compromising security. At the end of this video, you'll be able to create an app on Okta, request an SSO certificate from AWS Certificate Manager, configure AWS Client VPN endpoint, federate authentication with Okta, and test connectivity with an EC2 instance launched in a private subnet. To complete this demo, you will need an administrative access to AWS and Okta, a configured VPC with subnet and other VPC components, Okta Group for VPN users, PORI or any other client for SSH into EC2 instance, and lastly, AWS VPN client. The link to download the VPN client and PORI will be provided in the video description. This is the reference architecture of what we are trying to build. This reference architecture is provided in AWS documentation, so you can find it in the link below as well. So the first thing I want to do is to create an app on Okta. As you can see, I'm on Okta dashboard. I will navigate to the application section right here. Click Applications and select Browse App Catalog. On the search bar, I want to search for AWS Client VPN, and that should pop up in a second. There you go. I will click that and basically add integration. And there you go. I will select Do Not Display Application icon to users because I don't want users to see the icon. Pretty much when they click the icon, when they have logged into Okta, they will not be able to launch the VPN from the icon, so they really don't need to see it. I will click Done. And right there, we have our Okta app created. What we need to do next is to click the Sign On and edit. We need to select the member for matches regex, which will be .star to take care of all the groups. And then we should save this, leave all the things as default, save. And what we need right now is to copy this metadata URL and open it in another tab because we will need to save it. Okay. Right click and say Save As. I'm just gonna leave it as metadata. I already have one metadata downloaded right there, but it's just gonna have it as metadata 1. Let me save it on my download. Save. And I'm done with that. I can close that. Right. And that is it on Okta for now. Pretty much what I would like to also do will be to give this app an assignment. I would like to assign a group. I already have an Okta group here. So we'll go to the assign groups. I prefer to assign group to this app because all the users under this group will inherit the Okta app. So I prefer it that way, and it is more operational efficient. So let us assign the VPN group that has been created earlier. And then click Done. That should be it. I have just, I think, 1 or 2 users in this group. Let's click that and check real quick. It's loading. Okay. Yeah. While that is loading, let us go to the next stage. We'll come back to see what's going on. Why it's taking too long to load. Right. Next, we need to add Okta as an identity provider on AWS. I am right now on AWS console. This is the IAM dashboard. I don't have any identity provider created here yet. What I want to do is to add a provider, and it's going to be a SAML provider. The provider name, I can pretty much give it AWS Client VPN. I would like to put an hyphen there. There you go. And the metadata we downloaded, we will select the file and upload it. Yes, that is correct. And then add provider. Pretty much that is all we need to do to add a provider on IAM. Okay, now let me go to Okta again and see. Yes, you can see the 2 users I already have in the VPN group. There you go. These 2 users will be able to make use of the VPN whenever we are done with all the configuration setup. Next thing we need to do is to request a certificate from AWS Certificate Manager. I'm on AWS Certificate Manager right now. And to request a certificate from ACM is pretty easy. We need to click that request button here. And it's going to be a public certificate. Next, fully qualified domain name need to be entered. So I'm going to enter a fully qualified domain. I will do ... There you go. And then I want to add another domain name, which will be anything that my domain name. Okay. And it will be DNS validation recommended by AWS. I will pretty much go ahead and request the certificate. And what it should do is I'm supposed to go ahead and create a record for it in Route 53. But because I've issued this certificate before for this same domain, that is why it's successful straight up. Normally, it should be in pending state and tell me that I should create a record either on Route 53 or an email. But because I selected Route 53, it says pending validation. Let me refresh that. Let's refresh that. What's going on with AWS? Okay, status says issued. So we're pretty good with issuing the certificates right there. Next thing I would like to do now is to create the client VPN endpoint. And then we will navigate to client VPN on VPC. So all you need to do before you get here, you can just pretty much let me close out from here and just start. So you can, let me refresh this. Don't know why the page is not loading well. Yeah, correct. You can click this AWS icon. Don't know what's going on with AWS today. All right. And now you can just search on the search bar VPC. And that should take you to the VPC. You click that. Once the VPC dashboard is open up, there you go. We'll pretty much scroll down and you will see client VPN endpoints right here below site-to-site VPN connections. I will click that and I will need to create a client VPN. But before I go ahead and create a client VPN, I just want to say something real quick. I already have a well-configured VPC in this account, which I've created earlier, and that is the staging VPC. This first VPC right here is the default VPC that AWS creates for me in this account, in this region. So the staging VPC is the one I created. If you select that, you can see the resource map and see how I configured the VPC. This video is not for the configuration of VPC. Anyway, I just want to highlight that for you. All right, let's go back to the client VPN endpoints, and then we can click any of this button because I don't have any endpoint here. That is why I can also click here. If I do have one or two or more, this is where I will be creating one. So let's click any of those, and the name let me give it AWS Client VPN. That should do. I will leave the description right there. And the client's IP CIDR, I will be given this CIDR 10.200.0.0/22 CIDR. And if you're wondering where I got this CIDR from, this is from the AWS documentation. It will be in the video description as well. And the authentication information, the certificate we created earlier in ACM, that is what we'll be selecting here. There you go. And for the authentication options, I would like to select use user-based authentication, and for the federated authentication, so that we can select the SAML provider we created from IAM earlier. And from the drop down, there you go. The connection login, I want to be logging the connection. This is really good for a production ready environment, especially when you need to have like audit logs for your VPN client. So I'll select a log group. I already have a log group that I created from the CloudWatch log group. So that's pretty much straightforward to create a log group in CloudWatch. I will select that, leave the log stream as optional there. And what else do I need to do? Yeah, I would like to select enable split tunnel. Split tunnel, you can read more on that here. It just pretty much, you can use split tunnel to create VPN endpoints when you do not want all user traffic to route through the client VPN endpoint. So you can read more on that. The VPC ID will be the staging VPC I've created earlier. And I also have a security group I created, which is the VPN security group. And I can show you how the configuration of the VPN security group is. I pretty much selected the security group to be the ingress to anything. Let me quickly open that for you. Right here, VPC, and then security group. You can see the VPN security group. Now refresh again. Okay, there you go. Select that, and you can see the ingress or inbound rules. So it says all traffic to this security group, this same security group that I whitelisted on, so that I can attach it to any of my resources and the VPN as well. All right, the port will be port 443 or HTTPS, and I will leave all other things as defaults. And I think I am pretty much done here. I want to click create VPN endpoints, and voila, we are pretty much good over there. So the next thing I would like to do is to associate this VPN endpoint with a network. So the target network will be the VPC that I do have associated this VPN with. That will be the staging VPC. And then I will choose one of the subnets. I have 4 subnets in this VPC, 2 public and 2 private subnets. I will choose the first private subnet, associate target network, and that should just do the association for me. The security group, you can see the security group I've selected. The authorization rule, I would like to create an authorization rule. Select that, and I will create an authorization rule for my VPC CIDR. So let me quickly go to my VPC and just grab the VPC CIDR of my staging VPC. Copy that, and then you can paste it here. There you go. And what I want to say is allow access to users in a specific access group. And I will be copying the group from Okta and whitelist it right here. Let me see. It signed me out from my Okta admin. I will sign in few seconds now. Yes, I have signed in into Okta back here. What I want to do is to copy the VPN group and then go back to the authorization rule, paste that in there. So any member of this group will have access to the VPN endpoints because I'm adding the authorization rule for those. And the description, I'll pretty much leave it like that. No description given. Add authorization rule. Our VPN is still in the pending state. Route table is creating based on the target network. So we'll allow everything to just finish. And this will be the tab you will see any user that is currently on the VPN, but we're still in the pending stage. So I will pause the video for a second to make the VPN to be available. Yeah, it took a while, but here we are. The VPN is now available after a lot of refresh, but it's now available. What we need to do right now is to download the client's configuration file. I will download it right up here. Click that button and then say download client's configuration. That should download it in my download section. I will need to go ahead and configure that in my VPN app. And I already have the VPN app on my downloaded on my computer, but I will leave the download section inside the video description as well, so you can see the URL. And after download, you come over here, file, say manage profiles, and then you can add profile. You can give it any name. I'll just give it AWS VPN. On the configuration file, I will select that file I just downloaded, say open, and then add profile. And that should do it. Click done and say connect. But before I connect, let me see if I am logged in as the Okta user, because you have to be logged in as one of the Okta user in the group. So you have to log in as one of the Okta user that have this app attached already. So let me do that. So I've logged in as the Okta user, and let me go back to the VPN client and I will click connect. That should open another tab and refer us. There you go. It's redirected us to a new tab, but we don't need the tab. You can just close it. That window is just to authenticate you. And we are connected. Wow. All right. So to test this connection, we will need to see from an EC2 instance that is launched in a private subnet. I already have an EC2 instance launched in a private subnet. So let me go to the EC2 dashboard. If I click there, and you can see that this EC2 instance is launched in a private subnet because it doesn't have a public IP address. You can see it only have a private IP address. And I can grab that IPv4 address and test the connection through a client called Porty. Like I said in the introduction to the video, I will leave the download URL for Porty as well. You can also use any SSH client you want to test connection. So it's Amazon AMI. It's going to be EC2-user at the VPN. And I will be selecting my private key. A private key right there. Open. Let me check. Everything looks good on the section, and I can go ahead and say open. Oh, something is happening because it's not working for me. Let me see. It could be a network issue. Let me see real quick what is making the connection not to work. It could be okay, it's a network error, connection timeout. That could be a security group thing. Let's take a look real quick. So on the EC2, I can see that the security group attached to the EC2 instance is pretty much the default security group. And I would like to modify the security group association so I can associate the VPN security group we created and attached to the VPN to this instance as well. All right, I will go to Actions, Security, change security groups, and then I can search over here. I do have it right here. Select that and say Add Security Group. And there you go. Save that. And that should do it. Let's go back to POTI. Let's close from here and launch POTI again. Okay. EC2-user at, let's grab that IPv4 address, paste that in there, and go and load our key again. Load the key. Everything looks good. Let's try to open the session, and there you go. We are logged in now as the EC2 user because we are on the VPN. What I want to do real quick is I want to disconnect the VPN connection and see whether we are still able to access this EC2 instance. Let me disconnect. And you can see immediately I disconnected the VPN. You can see POTI say fatal error, which means the network issue is happening. All right, that is it. Everything works as expected. You have successfully configured AWS Client VPN with Okta integration, and you are all done. If you find this helpful, don't forget to like, share, comment, and also subscribe for more content like this. Thank you.